Welcome to Twin City Talk. Today we're talking to Carrie, DuPre, and Alex Collins from Graylyn. Welcome.
Thanks so much for having us. We're excited to be here.
Thank you.
I'm glad you guys are here.
All right, so Graylyn is definitely one of my favorite places in Winston. It's very beautiful. It's kind of like a little tiny Biltmore over here in Winston. What do you guys love about Graylyn since you're there all the time?
There's almost too much to say, I think, about Graylyn. I would say I could talk about some of my favorite aspects, one being the Persian card room. We've had lunch in there before together. It's just incredible, the walls in that room. So each room has a different curation based on the time period that inspired Mrs. Gray when she built the Graylyn estate. So that room, where the walls were purchased in 1928 in Istanbul, but they actually date back to 16th and 17th century Syria. So just the ornate details of the walls in that room. And since we're not a museum, you can actually get up close and personal with those walls when you stay there.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah, so that's definitely one of my favorite aspects. And then I think our historic bathrooms are another one. I probably weren't expecting me to say bathrooms, but I was just in 207's bathroom today, and it has an oil painting picture of two cats playing, has bright pink original tile that you can't get anymore because these tile companies went out of business during the Great Depression, of beautiful flower work, pink and green. Mrs. Gray's room has beautiful, beautiful gold flower work design detail. So I'd say our antique bathrooms are also a favorite aspect. So do you have one, Alex, of Graylyn?
I don't think I have a specific one. So I'm probably one of the newer members of Graylyn. I've only been there for 4 months, but I'm very familiar growing up in Winston-Salem and driving past it my entire life. But I think when you drive through the beautiful iron gates and you just transport into Europe, really, and it's not even one country, as Carrie mentioned, it's so many of them, but you really just transport into a different time. And it's just such a cool. My first day, I walk into my office and there are literal bunnies and squirrels hopping around. I'm like, what fairy tale do I get to work in every day? So it's just an enchanting place all over, all 55 acres of it.
It really is. It's remarkable. Every time I have to go to that side of town from my neighborhood, and I'm very close to Graylyn, I don't care if I'm in a hurry. I always drive through.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, I do. Every time. Instead of going down Reynolda, I always go through nice and slow and then just enjoy it because I think it drops my blood pressure and just makes me feel like you just said, like I'm somewhere in Europe for a minute. It's fantastic. Not that I'm encouraging everybody to always cut through Graylyn. I'm not. But
yes, please don't everybody cut through Graylyn. Come and stay, Graylyn.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I love that. And I didn't realize that about the walls there being 16th and 17th Syrian. I didn't. These are things I think you take for granted when you walk through. And you go, so remarkable. But not knowing that history, now I feel like I need to go back over and take it in again.
I always tell people I've been on many Butler tours with journalists. I've received many historic tours, but I learn something new every time I'm on one of those tours. And we actually have a way the community can go on a tour. It's called Tour Port du Jour. Cool. It's one Sunday a month. All the details are on our website, but it's just such a unique experience to have this curated experience with one of our butlers. And they tell you some of the mysteries, legends, stories, experiences, and I definitely learn something new every single time.
That's cool. How often are those, did you say?
One Sunday a month, typically. Yeah. They tend to sell out really fast, so I definitely recommend people check them out quickly. We do have some dates available, though.
Very cool.
It's up on our socials, too, yeah? The dates.
Yeah.
Do you guys have anything coming up this spring at Graylyn for the community?
That is a great question. Well, we always have community dining available, and I definitely recommend that along with Tour Port du Jour dates. Sometimes it's great, the tours from 4 to 6, sometimes it's great to book a dinner reservation right after, and you get to dine in Mrs. Gray's dining room. Cool. We do recommend advanced reservations on OpenTable or our website or by calling our team, just because we have some really big events, sometimes public dining's not available.
Yeah, I don't think, a lot of people don't even realize there is public dining options, I think. So.
Oh, it's so incredible experience because you actually get to eat where the Grays ate. Like I said, every aspect of Graylyn, whether you stay overnight or you just come for a day visit, you get to eat, sleep, play, really feel like a member of the family, and we want that. We want people to feel like they're in a home.
And what are the hours that you're open for dinner? It's not every day of the week, is it? Mm-hmm. Is it every day?
It is, yeah. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as a matter of fact. Breakfast we don't take necessarily reservations
Yeah,
for, but
breakfast is more for estate guests, but definitely lunch and dinner for sure. Every day of the week, like I said, the only time you might not see a reservation populate on the open table is we might have a huge wedding that day. And just to provide better service, we may close it temporarily for the day.
But breakfast is available to the public, though, or is not?
I believe it's just for estate guests.
So lunch and dinner are available to the public on open
Lunch
table.
and dinner. Got it. Yeah.
Oh, and the food there is amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. I would say I could pick a favorite, but I really can't. One thing we've started doing is fried oysters for oyster fans. And then we have really excellent scallops that we all try to take really good care of our sourcing with that.
And we have a fairly new chef, not new to Winston-Salem. He was most recently at Quanto Basta, but Chef Chris Folk. And every single piece of food that I have put in my mouth since I've gotten there has been nothing short of amazing. We just hosted some planners over the weekend. They braved the snow and drove in from Raleigh and Charlotte. And I mean, they really wanted to see Graylyn, and he just did a out of the park 5-course, I believe, dinner, and it was just scrumptious every single bite. It's great, and he's also a wonderful chef with which to work. Some chefs can, they have their passions about their food, but he's always open to everything. And we are actually going to partner with, if you want, Carrie can speak to this a little bit more, but we're going to partner with, since we are all one Ronalda kind of family, with the gardens and do a chef curated garden with the herb garden and all that. So we've had it always at Graylyn, but we're going to kind of glow it up or herb it up, I guess is the way to put that. Yeah.
Yeah, we're so grateful to work with Chef Chris. We also do special events, so corporate parties, or I mentioned weddings or rehearsal dinners. And we had one group come through that they booked our casino experience, where a group comes in and sets up casino games for them, and they wanted Las Vegas style food. So Chef Chris built them a seafood tower with all kinds of oysters and crab legs, and you have the crablets hanging down the seafood tower. It was incredible.
Cool.
I've known Chris a long time. He's a great guy. Yeah,
That's cool. Yeah, he's super.
Excellent
I love him.
chef. Great guy.
So outside of Winston, what do you guys love about Winston, or where do you love to go?
I think it's probably the most freshest on my mind is I love Winston at Christmas time. It is just an incredible experience. I love seeing the Moravian stars go up in downtown. I love, going to Fiddle and Fisher Wiseman because their breweries are always so beautifully decorated. I love going into design archives and Major Tom's and shopping for my nieces because I feel like they help me find out what's still cool for my nieces and nephews, and I just enjoy it's quieter, I feel like, too, and just kind of a magical experience. And of course, I'm biased too because I am in charge of decorating the Graylyn estate at the holidays.
You did a good job. It looks great.
So I also think that is incredible and beautiful, and highly recommend people check that out as well.
What about you, Alex?
About Winston?
Yep.
Oof. How long is the podcast? I could go on and on. So I most recently worked at Visit Winston-Salem, which is our tourism engine. And so I feel like I know a lot about Winston. Maybe not as much as the people in this room, but I feel like I know a lot about it, and I could go on and on. I mean, there's so many wonderful things. And I've listened to a few of your episodes, so I might repeat a lot of what other people have said. But to me, there's such a heartbeat and ethos to Winston that comes from the Moravians when they settled here, and I think that permeates through Winston to this day and how we reinvent ourselves. I mean, we're right on the edge of Innovation Quarter. I grew up here, and you didn't come downtown, right? It wasn't dangerous. There's just nothing to do downtown, and now it's such a bustling, wonderful place to be. And then as we grow outwards as well too. But I love that we came back to the city center. But that kind of heartbeat of entrepreneurial, hardworking folks, I think still just is everywhere you look in Winston. I love that, I think, the most about it, because we just can reinvent ourselves in such a cool way. And not to always bring it back to Graylyn, but same thing. Carrie and I are kind of endeavoring to make sure that people know that we are open for restaurant reservations. People can come and stay, of course, and stay like a Gray, but that we are this magical, enchanting estate, but that we are not stuffy. So I think there might be a little bit of, since we are, it's obviously so old, the building itself is almost 100 years old on the grounds, that we are a really super fun place to stay as well. And I think that leads into Winston-Salem.
Yeah, we have free cookies and ice cream when you stay at Graylyn. So
There's a whole room for ice cream.
it could be 2:00 in the morning. You can get ice cream when you stay at Graylyn overnight.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah, my husband had a guest in town from Ireland, and he told me I got ice cream there every single night.
There are 3 actually ice cream rooms, one in the
there's
main
3.
manor house, one in Bernard Cottage, which is where the Grays lived while they were building Graylyn, and then out at the Muse, which was actually the poultry farm. And that's a whole really cool story about the poultry farm and Mrs. Gray and how intentional she was about her chickens. There are guest rooms out there, obviously, and so they all have, several of them in the original building have skylights because Mrs. Gray wanted her chickens to have natural light, and so the original skylights are in those buildings. But there's an ice cream room out there, and Tim knows my boys. I have young sons, and they have yet to find the ice cream rooms because our inventory will plummet. And so they don't know about the ice cream yet. So hopefully they're not listening
It's
to
up to
podcasts.
the parents' discretion when they stay at Graylyn how much they want to let their kids know about the unlimited ice cream and the daily Mrs. Gray's butterscotch cookies. 'Cause
Yeah. The cookies are decadent in themselves. They're dangerously good.
Butterscotch is one of my favorite things.
Me
so,
too.
Bring you
Yeah.
some.
Yes. Oh,
By the way.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're delicious. They're so good.
Interesting
And
little-
thank you for what you brought us some samples of.
You're welcome.
Yeah, delicious. So good.
Yeah. I had some of the butterscotch cookies tea, and it's amazing.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, butterscotch anything. I'm down. Yeah.
So you're hitting on, being more of a fun place and not stuffy. I used to work at the Hayes Group, and we had a lot of our corporate events there, and it's really true. Like, it's a great, more relaxed environment that people might not expect. And you guys have a lot of cool team building activities. Can you talk about that? Because those are cool.
For sure. Go ahead, Carrie.
Yeah, a lot of people are surprised when I say, oh, you can come, you book a meeting, include team building in that meeting at Graylyn, and your team will get to dress up like a pirate. And it's right, because you don't always, like, when you see Graylyn, you don't always think, like, oh, literally right behind the manor house at the pond, teams will dress up like a pirate, they will build a boat, and they will race their boats out of like different plastic materials or cardboard. There's always different challenges to kind of make them communicate more during the experience, and then they race across our pond. Most are successful. Every now and then a ship may sink, but most of them are successful, and it is so much fun. I mean, the joy I see on people's faces while they're doing this event. And what's especially more meaningful is the group that leads our team building is a group, Miracle Heights Adventures from Crossnore. So not only are these corporate visitors having this really great experience, they're getting out of the office, resetting their blood pressure, as Burgess mentioned, on our beautiful grounds, they're also learning about the really important mission of Crossnore and the great service they do for children in our community. So it's just a wonderful partnership, and we're so excited to have that. On top of race, if it sounds a little too exciting to race, we also have kind of this where we simulate the Masters, where you can actually golf and try to hit a golf target in our pond. We have so many other creative ones, like you can build gingerbread houses around the holidays and turn that into a team building event. We have the Vineyard Challenge, where teams break off and they try to make the best mimosa. And if we have a marketing group during a retreat, they'll also have to try to have the best sales pitch for their sangria or their mimosa, depending on what style they pick. So it's really, really fun. Do you have a favorite team building?
The pirate one the shipbuilding one is really cool, but I've seen you build bikes, so you get all the parts, and then as a team you build a bike together, and then you race it around. We build a track in one of the parking lots, and you race everybody around, and then we ended up they had the opportunity to gift the bike back as a donation to a local child that wouldn't normally have one. So that one's really cool.
That's fantastic.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did with those planners I was mentioning over the weekend. We did a scavenger hunt. That one's really neat. There are clues all over the home, and you cross over the groups as you're kind of. We ask everyone not to run, but some people get competitive. But you go all over the home, and you can go outside into the lush grounds as well. So it depends on how big the scope and time you have. But that one's really neat because it gets the history as a part of the team building, and you can learn all about it. I actually, again, as Carrie said, every time I step foot in the main house or talk to a butler or do a a team building, I learned something new. So I learned a lot of things this weekend about Graylyn I hadn't even learned yet. But those are really cool with the different clues. And you can do those on different scale sizes as well. So I think we have 25 or so. And we're just now working with Crossnor to revamp those offerings and add. And
This is incredible. I didn't know you guys did any of this. This is
cool.
I love this place. I go by it every day. I had no idea.
It's so wonderful to work with Crossnor because not only can we leverage our strengths because they have these wonderful coordinators who have studied extensively on how to make the most of a team building experience. We can also arrange for transportation over to their facility where they have a ropes course. So a group let me follow them over to take pictures of them on this ropes course. And let me tell you, the amount of how well you get to know your coworkers when you are up way high in the air and you're a little afraid is quite an incredible experience. Right? I'm very afraid of heights, so it would definitely take me out of my comfort zone. But it was actually really sweet because the group, one person was a little heights phobic, so he was the official picture taker along with me, which I thought was a really sweet way to keep him included. But they had such an incredible time. So that's another great part of the partnership is we can host team building activities at Graylyn site and then utilize their resources as well and see their incredible ropes course. So.
And one of the other things I love about our team is they really don't miss a detail. So if you do go off property, a box lunch will follow you there. So they just think of everything when you're out there. So it's really amazing. But I love that partnership. I am not heights phobic. Was that what you said? I'm using that term, stealing that. So I'll scurry up there and do that. We'll do that in the spring, maybe when it's not 17 degrees outside or whatever.
Yeah, coming soon to our Instagram channel. Our director of sales and marketing on the Crossnor.
You heard it here first.
Well, like Stephen Wright, the comedian, said, he's not afraid of heights, he's afraid of width.
I'm actually not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling.
Yeah, and the falling doesn't bother me. It's that sudden stop at the end.
Yeah, that'll get you.
Yeah, every time.
But they would never let you fall and hurt yourself. I promise you that.
Yeah, they are so supportive. I've been to the Whitewater Center for Ropes course, and it was an incredible experience. But once you're up there, they're like, we really want you to finish. Versus Crossnor is like, we'll be there with you every step of the way and hold your hand and make sure you feel safe. And I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
How can people find out Graylyn and how to eat there and all that? Where should they go?
Oh, perfect. So if they go to our website, that is definitely our hub, Graylyn.com, for everything they'd want to know. And they'll also be able to learn more about our team building and meetings, events, that type of thing on GraylynMeetings.com. And then we also have GraylynWeddings.com as well for people that are interested in getting married with us or have a rehearsal dinner or just a room block because they're getting married in town. We have all that information there. We're also very active on social media. So we're on Instagram at Graylyn Estate, Facebook Graylyn Estate as well, and then on LinkedIn, Graylyn Estate and Conference Center.
Well, thank you guys so much for coming on today.
Oh, we really had a great time. Thank y'all for having us.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So glad having you here.
Well, thank you for joining us. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook, Twin City Talk. Thank you. The views and opinions portrayed by guests on this podcast are not necessarily those of the distributors and hosting companies. And if you love this podcast, that's great, but don't think about stealing it. Reach out to us and talk about the content because it is copyrighted.